Look how many clownfish are packed into here. These guys are balling, ball schooling in a way that I've just never ever seen before. Look at those guys just all pressed up against. What's going on, Reef Builders? Jake Adams here, and I am still in Taiwan, and I really hope that you've enjoyed the couple of live streamed videos that I put out a few days ago at Masana and this morning at Hebei Aquarium. It's been a real awesome experience to see Taiwanese aquarium world and aquarium culture, and now I've got something a little bit different to show you guys. So I'm actually at the Aqua Dancing Clownfish Farm, and first of all, I gotta say, I'd like to say that it's been a long day, but really it's been like a long 2 weeks of traveling and zipping around all over the place. So definitely gonna speak a little bit slower and a little bit less. But now it's time to show you a place that specializes in a lot of really cool clownfish, and only clownfish. There's nothing else in here except for some really cool clownfish. This is a Clownfish Laboratory, and the owner, Mr. Shi, he's really trying to design the coolest clownfish possible. So let's go inside and see what's up. Okay, so this is the first part of the facility here at Aqua Dancing. It looks like they are actually installing some new clownfish holding tanks. And this is Mr. Shi, right? Mr. Shi, nice to meet you.
Nice to meet you.
Thank you for having me here. I'm gonna show people the tens of thousands of clownfish that you have here. And before you guys get out your pitchforks about how densely stocked these tanks are, but just keep in mind that seawater is expensive, and they actually do water changes here every single day. So since I've been here, they've been siphoning water out of each of the tanks, and yeah, you can see that this place is just packed to the gills, like literally with a bunch of clownfish. Some of these tanks must have a couple hundred specimens each. So this is just a mixed batch of various clownfish strains, clownfish breeds. You can see they range from the normal type there in the middle to the Da Vinci style and the Picassos. But this place, the Aqua Dancing's own strain is actually called the Mozart Clownfish. And these are named the Mozart K1 through K4. And these are not necessarily an indication of the grade of the clownfish. It's more of an indication of the progress of the clownfish. So K1 was the first generation of Mozart, K2, K3, and K4 is the current generation of the Mozart. So I'm gonna walk you over here so you can see a little bit more of the larger grow out. Tons and tons of clownfish. Look at all those happy, healthy amphiprions. Hey buddy, what's up? What are you doing? Oh my goodness, so many clownfish here. If I had to pick some clownfish to take home, it would be basically impossible. Look at this system right here. Look how many clownfish are packed into here. These guys are balling, ball schooling in a way that I've just never ever seen before. Look at those guys just all pressed up against the glass. Unfreaking believable. But the tanks are crystal clear, the water's super clear, and let me show you the filtration system, because even though we're in Taiwan, Mr. Shi definitely believes in very good filtration. So every tank has a very capable, powerful protein skimmer. Here you see, I believe that's a Vertex cone skimmer, and they're all just running really well. producing a lot of foam, and there's also a ton of biomedia to take care of nutrient export, and there's a cooling system that's actually inserted in each of the aquarium. So let's swing around to see a little bit more of the facility. I'll tell you a little bit about what these tanks are after I show you some of the grow outs. So here's even more clownfish. These are definitely being grown out. You can see there's maybe, I don't know, I'm just gonna ballpark about 500 clownfish maybe in a 60-gallon tank. But this is a commercial facility. These guys are here taking care of these fish every day. I actually even saw a cot here. So Mr. Shi sometimes probably sleeps here so he can keep an eye on certain spawns. But here's some of the babies. This is the grow out. The fish that you're looking at here are barely pushing an inch long, and they're just now starting to develop their stripes and their patterns. Super cool. And once again, a very thorough filtration system. This is one of the only skimmers that I haven't seen on, and it's a Bubble King protein skimmer. So Mr. Shi definitely believes in very strong filtration for his clownfish farm. Here's a little bit more, and then back around to this section. This is actually really cool because this is the WYSIWYG. So I believe this is how he sells some of his clownfish, you know, one at a time, or what you see is what you get. So you can pick the clownfish that you actually want. Again, with a very, very thorough filtration system, tons of biomedia, and a very well-tuned protein skimmer. So let's take a closer look at some of the varieties being offered here. And they range in size from this little guy, barely pushing a couple inches, 3 or 4 centimeters for the rest of the world, to some of the larger, showier specimens that have that Da Vinci or snowflake quality. This guy over here's, these two over here have the pearl eye spots right next to their eyes. And yeah, this is primarily the Ocellaris and Percula species of clownfish strains being offered here at Aqua Dancing. And one strain that seems to be prevalent here is the clownfish with these white dorsal fins, kind of like a mohawk. So really, really cool variety. And yeah, I really like his WYSIWYG section. A lot of clownfish being offered. Now, the back room is a little bit more secretive. I'm going to show you very briefly the babies. I'm going to turn the camera down so you don't see too much, because there's a lot of secret projects in the works. But now I can show you again. So all these blacked-out tanks are the larval rearing aquariums. These are filled with green water, with rotifers, and lots of babies. Here you can really see all the baby clownfish. I'm going to guess that these guys are probably about a week old, because they should settle out at about, I think, I'm not a clownfish expert, but 3 to 4 weeks. Here we go. Here's a few more, but you get the drill. And what's neat for these tanks is these over-the-tank biological filtration. This is a style of wet-dry filtration that's a lot more popular in Asia. It's not something we see too much in the United States and Europe. And once again, a ton of grow out here on this side, with tanks that are absolutely packed. Can you imagine, could you even try to pick out a fish from these tanks? I don't know that I could, but yeah, I would try. There's some really, really interesting strains here. Just gonna move it along. And he is working on some maroon clownfish, but this is a much smaller part of his overall inventory and production. But it's just so much fun to see these huge ball schools of clownfish just totally. This is a natural behavior of young clownfish. Usually you don't see this in the clownfish that are this old. but this is a little bit more what it looks like. Look at that ball of clownfish, man. That's just totally crazy. And you can see it just forming here. There's 3 different fish balls over there. Looks like this tank is filled more with the platinum or solid white varieties of clownfish. It's just so much fun to see. I think I've just seen more clownfish in one day, actually more clownfish in 1 hour or 2 hours than I've ever seen in my life. I don't know if I've, or at least domesticated clownfish. I don't think I've ever seen this many clownfish in one place. So I am going to scoot over here, show you one more WYSIWYG section because it has a couple, or not a couple hundred of some of their clownfish that are being offered up for sale currently. I believe these get photographed again and sold individually. So again, a lot of familiar strains. Here's maybe like a snowflake style variety. And I'm not sure which ones are the Mozarts exactly, but a lot of cool fish. Okay, so here's even more of the showy clownfish. Oh, look at these big bad boys. Super duper cool. What are you doing, buddy? Yeah, show me those spots. This spotted variety is, I think it's part of the Mozart line, right? The Mozart. And very cool. There was one in here that really grabbed my attention. Which one was it? Oh yeah, look at this crazy weird one right here with a light colored tail. Just can't help but imagine that this guy's got some very interesting genetics creating that yellow tail, because you really don't expect to see that in any varieties of Amphiprion clownfish. I'm sorry, of Percula and Ocellaris clownfish. And there's another showy specimen with just like that big, beautiful, bold, white dorsal fin. Super duper cool. Okay, so I don't have permission to show you all of the breeders and the breeder setups, but I did get special access to some of the pairs that really grabbed my attention. So I'm going to show you a few of the standout breeder pairs over here in the back, and you can see what some of these clownfish strains will develop into when they get older. So this is a really beautiful clownfish, and I'm not sure how much the video can pick it up. This fish has an incredible amount of blue bleeding into the white parts of its bars. Just a really cool specimen here. And man, one of these days we're gonna get blue clownfish. I don't know how long it's gonna take, but this is what some of the pedigree will look like. This is absolutely one of my favorite pairs here. This fish has a crazy leopard spot pattern, and I don't know if you can really tell, but it's just so bold and bright. I just can't get over. This is probably one of my favorite pairs in the entire facility, and it just so happens that they are sitting on a bunch of eggs. So I guess he will have some stock of this strain in the future. This is another pair here, and you can see it shows some degree of the black spotting that you expect from that particular strain. Not quite as exaggerated as the one I just showed you, but still a lot of potential nonetheless. This is an interesting mismatched pair here. Looks like we have a crazy Da Vinci style Ocellaris, and then I believe that's the Galaxy Clarkeye clownfish, first produced by Bali Aquarich. So really interesting mismatch of genetics here, and really curious to know what the offspring of these two fish would look like. So here is the male of part of the Mozart series of clownfish, and like I mentioned earlier, the Mozarts are graded K1, 2, K3, K4, but this is not necessarily a class distinction. It's more like a progression, so like the first Mozart clownfish and the second Mozart clownfish, But this fish has a really cool mask on his face, and yeah, never really seen a fish like that before. They're really beautiful. This is also a grouping of the Mozart Clownfish, and you can see that the pattern is quite wild. This pair has a really interesting light colored face and truly psychedelic stripes. And right next door is another breeder pair of the Mozart Clownfish. Again, you can see that really erratic bar on the sides of the body. This one's actually matched up with a basic Darwin black ocellaris. And then scooting on over, there's another beautiful pair with psychedelic stripes, patterns, a huge degree of white and black coloration. This is the female inside the pot, and the male's a little bit more shy, but he's got a really cool pattern as well. Oh, he's totally hiding. He doesn't get to see visitors too often, so that's gonna do it for the breeders. Okay, so I hope you really enjoyed this tour of this fabulous, crazy Clownfish Laboratory. And now I just want to invite Mr. Shi to say a message to our Chinese audience.
大家好，谢谢 Jack 过来这边参访，也感谢大家对莫扎特的喜好，我们会竭尽所能的尽快把莫扎特这个 K 系列品系尽快的把它量产化，让喜欢莫扎特的一些朋友可以尽快拥有。谢谢你们，也谢谢 Jack。Thank you.
So thanks you guys for tuning in. If you enjoyed this video, please hit a thumbs up. I worked very hard to put this stuff together. I'm sweating like a white boy in heat. And yeah, thanks to everybody who's been following along and commenting. I'm going to put as much information as I can about the aqua dancing, about the Mozart Clownfish down in the description, so check it out. So until next time, Taiwan has been a blast, and I'll catch you guys on the next video.